I'm a real boy? I have become an uncle for the second time. So, as well as continuing to write letters to my niece, Olivia, I've begun to write letters to my new nephew, Thorfinn. I was thinking about what I wanted to write about next when it struck me that perhaps there's something in the story of Pinocchio that's rather useful. As you no doubt know, Geppetto wishes upon a star for his puppet Pinocchio to become a real boy, and then wakes up in the middle of the night to see and hear Pinocchio speaking. Geppetto is so overwhelmed with joy that he believes his dream has come true. But it hasn't, not really, because Pinocchio is still a wooden puppet, though, admittedly, one without strings. No, for Pinocchio to become a real boy he has to prove he is worthy of such a gift. The Blue Fairy tells Pinocchio that for him to become a real boy, he must be brave, truthful and unselfish. And who could argue with that? After all, don't you find people who are cowardly, dishonest and selfish somewhat two-dimensional and, dare I say it, just a little wooden? Despite the seriousness of the Blue Fairy's statement and the advice of his conscience, Jiminy Cricket, Pinocchio's naivety and gullibility cause him to be hoodwinked twice by Honest John. Pinocchio is fooled for the first time when Honest John convinces him that the life of an actor is great, then sells Pinocchio to Stromboli, and leaves the poor puppet to dance to Stromboli's greedy tune. The second time Pinocchio falls for Honest John's silver tongue is when the wily fox convinces him to go with the owner of Pleasure Island, to the sinister amusement park where boys really do make jackasses out of themselves. Pinocchio failed to heed the advice of cinema's most diminutive of avuncular figures, Jiminy Cricket. And Pinocchio gets into all sorts of trouble as a result of all the lies he tells, so you'd be forgiven for thinking that the story of Pinocchio is designed to teach children the virtue of honesty, that no good comes from telling lies. But there's a deeper message hidden in the story which reminds us all that without living a life imbued with bravery, authenticity and generosity we, too, will never become real boys. Like Jiminy Cricket, we may struggle at times to guide our nieces and nephews down the right path and away from charlatans like Honest John. But it's important we try so that when they listen to that little voice which tells them to believe in themselves, they have the courage to take that leap of faith, just like Pinocchio did in the end. And yes, perhaps our role is to remind them that just as Pinocchio, a wooden boy, can be damaged by fire, we are all frail beings that can be burned by our fears. But if we succumb to our fears, fail to begin our journey, fail to be brave, truthful and unselfish, we'll be little more than a puppet on strings dancing to someone else's tune.